Welcome to Floating Leaf Tea Podcast. I'm Showen.
And I'm Noah in Taiwan.
Showen is in Seattle. Let's do this second recording of not just two different cities. It's two different countries, and there's a Pacific Ocean in between these two places. But we are gonna do this.
Yay! Yay!
I think last one was a little bit awkward, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, but whatever.
Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Awkward is as awkward does.
Yeah, totally. Really happy to be back into the podcast program. I feel less awkward than last time, just to be honest.
Good.
Yeah. And it's currently, when we are recording this, is currently 8:20 p.m. here. And so I am not going to brew a tea. I wish that I could drink tea all day long, but that's not the case. So I'm going to do just a little bit amount of Loushan Hong Shui in a cup and just do it grandpa style, so I don't get too energized after the podcast.
Cool. That sounds good.
How about you? What are you gonna drink?
So I'm actually gonna drink. You can see I have my whole setup right here to brew gongfu tea. Okay.
I actually can't see it. Oh,
with the
beautiful cup.
Classic metal, tray.
Yeah, is that your new cup?
That's my new antique cup. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh,
I bought this antique cup.
You've seen some good stuff, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's really it makes the tea taste really different.
Oh.
Yeah, I was using a kind of like a, not like a mass produced, but a larger production, factory production ceramic cup before, and then I wanted to compare them.
Yeah.
And the ceramic cup, it has this it's kind of like a astringent kind of taste.
Okay.
That is, I just consider as like, oh, that's just because I'm not brewing the tea very well.
I see.
And then I tried the exact same tea, the exact same infusion, and then poured it into the antique cup, and it gets rid of that taste. It's smoother.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are you going to bring a few back here in Seattle?
Yeah, totally. I got 3, so I'll bring it back. We can use them in Seattle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I got some other cups that are more like, that are also antique, maybe a little bit more rough kind of antique, Like the actual body of the cup is pretty thick.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
It's not as fine looking, but those ones also get rid of that taste. It's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Just the quality of the porcelain makes a big difference.
I really want to try it.
I know. So I'm kind of like, I mean, they're not cheap.
Okay.
But I think they're very worth it. It makes a huge difference. So I'll bring them back. You can try them. It's really fun.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yay.
So anyway, the tea that I'm drinking
Yes.
is a tea that I helped. Well, I wouldn't say that I helped, but I watched the processing.
Oh,
I'm gonna drink that
one.
tea. I'm gonna drink that tea.
Oh, excellent! I really want to try that.
Yeah, I know. You'll try it. I'll send you some pretty soon.
Yeah, you guys have to send me some teas. I'm gonna place my order before everybody else.
Yeah, you got to.
I have that privilege.
Yeah. You just let us know and we'll send it to you, boss.
But seriously, I'm gonna place the order before anyone else. Damn, I kind of feel good.
Yeah, so this one is our friend he's actually how do you say? He's more of like a classic tea wholesaler. He does like really like old school business where they go up to the mountains and they tell people that are making the teas like what needs to be done differently and like that kind of thing. And then they buy the tea that the farmer made. I mean, I'm not telling you because but I'm telling the people out there. and
I was like, very interesting.
Yeah.
I knew him since 2005.
Yeah. So when I got here, he invited me to go up to his new farm. He actually started growing tea himself because he wanted to control the production from the beginning to the end. Up in a kind of lesser known area for tea, it's not very common. high elevation, high mountain tea in Shinju.
Yeah, Shinju.
Shinju.
Shinju normally is in the lower elevation is actually known for Oriental beauty.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he said that like no one's growing tea up there. It's like it's untouched in terms of tea production. It's still mostly like old growth forests.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
and lots of indigenous people live up there. There's lots of indigenous villages up there.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So it feels really different, than a lot of tea regions I've been to before. Anyway, it's very beautiful and it's pretty high elevation. And he decided he wants to grow tea there. So we went up there and they made this tea and I got to watch and ask questions. So I'll start brewing it before I say too much more.
Okay. Well, while Noah is preparing his tea brewing station, I do have to mention that I know this friend since 2005, and he's one of the nicest people that I have met, not just in my tea journey, in my life. He is such a sweet person. However, I was a little bit jealous that he brought Noah up to it's very loud, Noah. You are very loud.
Okay.
Sorry.
You can turn your volume
table.
down. You can turn down your volume on the computer.
Oh, no, but I want to hear you.
Oh.
对啊, the table is really loud.
Yeah, because it's on the same table as a computer is, so it's picking up a lot of noise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what was I saying? I was saying that I was a little bit jealous that he took Noah up to see tea productions. Because for all these years, he never took me to see tea productions. Later, I didn't get as jealous because Noah told me it's like a bunch of guys processing tea, and then when they have moments to sleep, they all sleep in the same room. So I think because of that reason, he felt it's not appropriate and inconvenient to bring me up to CT productions. Then I felt good, not left out,
Yeah, what it is it's just a bunch of dudes, and we stay up until like 3 or 5 in the morning, and when they do get a chance to sleep, it's like for maybe 3 hours, and everyone sleeps in like a big, everyone sleeps on the floor in a big room together. Yeah.
So yeah, I would not maybe. And then I think they will feel uncomfortable with there's a woman there, and then like what to do with the woman, and then like do we set up a different room for her and that kind of stuff, just much more extra things for them to think about. So
it's like a big compound. Like the factory itself is like a big, like there's all the tea factory stuff upstairs, but then downstairs there was like a big concrete room for like the kitchen, and then off to the side there's like bathrooms and showers and like dormitory basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh, cool.
But everyone stays there for like a week or 2 weeks to finish the tea.
Yeah. So this is your first time to see tea processing in a really intense way. Like you were in it the whole time, basically.
Yeah. Before I've like walked in, I've walked in to see like a little bit of the Kilgreen and then walk back out again. Or walked in and I can smell the withering is happening and then leave, like an hour later. But this is like 48 hours from start to finish, watch the entire process.
Yeah. How did you feel? I mean, like, do you have like something that big to that it hit you or something like that?
I mean, that's a big question.
I only
a
ask
lot
big
of things.
questions.
You know what I mean? A lot of things. Yeah, I know.
I don't like small talk.
Yeah, A lot of
I'm
things.
just joking.
A lot of things hit me like that. So it's hard to narrow down just one. I mean, obviously, one of the big ones would be seeing how hard they work, which you can probably already tell from how I'm talking about it. Seeing how hard the work is, it makes you really appreciate even more what's going into making a tea, making oolong tea specifically. You know,
I totally understand. I watch them, maybe not full time, 48 hours, but I watch the process here and there many times, and dang, they're hard workers, you know.
Yeah. So this tea specifically, our friend was able to get a hold of a Dongding tea making master, a Dongding Shifu. So his style of tea making is different than the more modern style of Haiman Oolong. He makes Haiman Oolong more like a Dongding.
Oh, excellent! Wow, I want to taste
so it's
it
oxidized closer to like 20%. Like if you look at, you probably can't see the color very easily, but if you look at the broth, I'm looking at the broth right now. It's like golden. It's not like jade. It's like golden.
too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think it
Wow.
would take fire really well. I think it would take a roast really nicely. And then the aroma is more like, there's a lot of tropical fruit aromas because it is Haiman Oolong. It has like that kind of complexity, kind of like Dongding has that Dongding fruit. But since it's high elevation tea, the complexity of the fruit notes is much higher, and they're I wouldn't say that they're necessarily brighter, but they're like juicier and more sweet, and they're definitely more complex. And the
I'm gonna place the order after we record
flower
this.
note is more like than what you'd usually consider for Haiman Oolong. He does the broth is kind of a golden color. I'm looking at it right now, as opposed to that kind of jade color with more modern production Haiman Oolong, which I love modern production Haiman Oolong. I think it tastes great, and I like the clean floral fragrance of that kind of tea. This kind of tea, when it gets golden like that, it has more of a fruit aroma, right? And then the broth itself, although it carries a floral fragrance, which I would call sweeter and more round than the modern production Haiman Oolong floral fragrance. The modern production Haiman Oolong floral fragrance I consider to be kind of cuts through a little bit more, and it's very clear, almost like crystal clear, right? And then this kind of floral fragrance, it feels more round. It's a little bit hangs in the background. What it actually reminds me of, and it doesn't sound great, but it feels great, is there's a lotion that my mom used when I was a kid.
Oh.
And I remember that lotion had like this really round, sweet kind of floral aroma. And it's a very different approach than the more crystal clear jade kind of floral aroma, which is like more like little white flowers, really bright, really brilliant is the word that I use. Brilliant and bright. This one's just a touch darker, a touch lower tone, but it feels very round and very soft and very sweet. And then the broth itself is thicker, you know? It's not the kind of, if I was to say like, if someone comes in the shop and they're like, hey, I want Haiman Oolong, I probably wouldn't pick out this tea immediately, you know? Because it doesn't taste like Haiman Oolong, but it does at the same time, right? Because it has a complexity of Haiman Oolong, but it doesn't, the flavor profile is more fruit. The broth is actually thicker, a little bit more heavy. And it could take a roast pretty well, I think. Yeah.
Did you ask him
Yeah.
why he likes to do it this way?
The Dongding guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said he likes to do it this way because this is how he does tea. Like he's from Dongding, that's how they do tea.
That's
Right.
an excellent answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
you
what
know,
he's
if
used
you've
to.
tasted, talking to people out there, because I know that you have, if you've tasted competition winning baozhong, it's really clear. That is the more modern method. It's not that the modern method is better or worse than the traditional method. The modern method, you couldn't do it back in the day. There's no way. So if you try to make modern tea 50, 100 years ago, and you take it down the mountain, it's already stale by the time you get it back down on horseback, right? Like, how are you going to get it? How are you going to get it to the market before it goes stale? Now that we have vacuum machines, things like that, we can hold on to teas a lot longer without them going stale. I mean, they vacuum the tea at the factory, so you have a way of maintaining freshness that you didn't have before. Yeah. So although, everyone seems to be very fond of, in the tea production world, like all the guys I was talking to seem to be very fond of really clean, crystal clear, bright, brilliant, floral fragrance teas like that. It's just not how they would make tea in the past, because you couldn't, you had to roast tea. There's no oolong, you had to roast it. There's no other option, else it would go stale. Yeah. So yeah, he said that he likes this production method because that's what he knows, but he also likes it because it tastes more comforting to him. It's like the broth, when you drink that broth into your body, it has a way of lighting up the throat that if people drink traditional dongding, they know traditional dongding can touch the throat in a way that the really floral bright teas don't. It's like the vibration is a little bit lower, right? So it's kind of that way. Like the vibration is a little bit lower. It doesn't focus so much as that really bright aroma going up. It focuses more going down, touching the throat, and it feels comfortable and warming as it goes into the body. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
So anyway, it was amazing to see, from start to finish. And the leaves are really young. The leaves are actually really, really young. So you can use a lot less. I think it's really hard to make a good tea out of young leaves because they're easy to bruise. So you have to be really careful in the fermentation process. It's easy for those little tiny buds to turn red and kind of start to have that kind of stinky fermentation smell that you've probably smelled in tea if you leave brewed tea out for a little while. It starts to get a kind of stinky tea smell. It's kind of like fruit, but it's not in a nice way. That's what they're trying to avoid, right? So if the leaves are bigger, it's easier to not let that happen. But since the leaves are pretty small, it's a very delicate process. It would have been, it's not saying it would have been better because there's really good teas, including this one, that are made out of small leaves, but it would have been easier. That's for sure.
Huh.
It takes from what I'm understanding, it takes a delicate touch.
Yeah. So are you saying that these are like too much, too young of a leaves that include?
Not too much. Just there are young leaves, and it made it more difficult to make a clean tasting tea out of it. But since the master was there, they were able to pull it off. And they were worried about it the entire time they're processing it. They're always talking about that. It's like, really got to be careful because these leaves are so young. They're really easy to bruise. Really got to be careful. So in the hands of a lesser producer, it could have been turned have more off flavors. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of understanding talking to them.
But they are mature leaves too.
There are mature leaves. Yeah, it's not just pure buds. Yeah, but just like the bud count is a little high for oolong tea because usually oolong tea, as you know, but just telling the people outside, the leaves for oolong is usually fairly mature leaves, even the very top leaf. Yeah, which I was talking to one of the older guys that's been processing tea for like 35, 40 years. And he said, he had a different explanation. He said that when the leaf is bigger, it's easier for the stinky smells that are inside of the stem to, along with the water that's in the stem, travel along the veins. And then, there's more surface area on a bigger leaf, so it's easier for them to evaporate off. For the water to evaporate off the surface of the leaf and bring the stinky smell away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a wonderful explanation.
Yeah.
I always read that in at least Taiwanese oolong productions, they prefer, in the old times, they do prefer, they call it mature leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, mature leaves. And then when it's too tender, maybe the stinky stuff couldn't come out 100%. Also, they couldn't endure the long process.
Yeah, both of those things.
So they
both
have
of
to
those
do
things.
it. They have to do it lighter. That's what I understand.
Yeah, so I think what it is it makes it takes a lot more attention to detail in the fermentation process to be able to, because this one's actually fermented pretty dark. But just during the process, they really have to be careful not to bruise the little tender baby leaves, because there's so much water leaving from that little tiny surface. It's like it's enduring a lot of like you said, in a way it's enduring a lot more damage, right, in that small little area. So you have to be careful with it. Yeah. So it probably would have been easier to make a lighter, lightly oxidized tea, but just this guy's so used to making more dark oxidized tea, that's just what he did, you know?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And you can brew it for a super long time and it doesn't get bitter. That's everything that's nice about darker oxidized tea.
Yeah.
I've found is that the more lighter stuff, it takes a little bit more of a delicate touch in the brewing. This one you can brew it a little bit longer.
And that's fine.
And it's fine, yeah. It's also use less leaves. You can't use too many leaves because there's so many buds in there. It'll get too strong if you use too many leaves, like volume wise, right? So although it's at the same price as our Lishan tea, so it's, you know, on the higher end for Haiman Oolong. It's actually pretty economical because you can use like 2/3 that you would usually use. I found out that if I usually use 6 grams to brew a gaiwan full of tea, then with this one I can use 4 grams and it's already totally enough. Because they're just more concentrated.
Sure. When you said there are more buds, isn't each tea set has one bud only?
Yeah. Each tea set has one bud, and with the more mature leaves, the tea set would have they would have a more fully mature leaf on the top, is what I'm understanding. So the bud would have opened up. Yeah, right. So that's what.
So it's not. It has more buds. It's just one set of leaves have one bud.
Yeah, I guess it's not that it's not that it has more buds. It's that it actually has buds for tea. Yeah. Because
nowadays all the high mountain have the bud though.
Yeah. But I opened up the alisan that I bought and took a look, and the leaves are more mature on the top. It's not really a bud. Yeah, it's open.
Cool.
Yeah, it's open on the top. It's like it's not the full size of the bottom leaves, which I was understanding from that old school tea processing guy, that actually in the old days they really were looking for fully mature leaf on the top too. So like the full size. So all 3 leaves, the bottom leaf, the middle leaf, and the top leaf, are all the full size. Haiman Oolong, like Alisan, isn't like that. The one that I bought, the Shanlin Shi that I bought, also is not like that. But it's like maybe half the size, right? The top leaf is half the size, and then this one, the top leaf is like maybe 1/3 of the size, maybe even smaller. It's like really tiny. It's like very tender.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you know what it's like is do you remember that Taman Shan? I mean, people listen to the podcast wouldn't know because I only bought like one small bag of it. But that Taman Shan that I got from Mr. John years ago, the concubine, not the concubine, the
Dowager Empress.
Empress Dowager, yeah. That one has lots of buds too. Yeah, not concubine. That one has lots of. It's like every leaf set, there's a little tiny bud. It's like the same. It's like the same picking style as that one.
Huh. So I think tea buds that yield a lot of flavor.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, if you done it correctly, it has a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. Wow. Looks like quite an adventure to follow those guys.
Yeah, it's incredible, and they know so much. You know.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the factory has like so much knowledge. Even the people that are just like, you know, get paid to come there and do whatever they're told. Like even those guys have been doing it for such a long time. Like the youngest guy that had already been doing it for like 10 or 15 years.
10 or 15.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so they're all
Awesome.
all really experienced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy that had been doing it for the longest had almost been doing it for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I got to talk to all
So
of them, and they're all so knowledgeable, and they know so much about. They've just been touching it for such a long time.
I know. Yeah. So would you like to explain to people like what is the basic process of
Yeah.
this specific oolong tea making?
Yeah. Yeah. So they. I got there in the morning, probably about 10 a.m., and they were already picking. They, they pick the tea, they put it in baskets, they take it on over to the factory, and then they lay it out in the sun. And then the sunlight, when it gets in there, it starts to break the cell structure of the leaf a little bit so it can start to ferment. Just like if you leave something, a vegetable, out in a warm area, it'll start to wilt, right? And if you can imagine, if you just leave a piece of spinach inside your house in a humid room, it's going to get stinky and gross. But if you leave it out in the sun, you can get a little bit of the pressure from the sunlight to actually break it a little bit faster. So it's not just stewing in its own juices. It's more like breaking the cell structure pretty quickly. And then once it's broken to the point where they feel like they can bring it inside, they bring it inside. That part's really hard, having just seen it one time, to get a feeling for like what they're looking for, But basically it'll start to wilt, and then they take it inside, and then there's indoor wilting. And then in indoor wilting, they'll basically every so often, usually it seems like every few hours, but it really depends on the leaf material, they'll shake it and they'll turn it over. And when they shake it, it'll take from like a wilted leaf to start to stretch out again, start to kind of like come to life again. So if you look at a big pile of wilted leaves on the ground, or on the tarp rather, they look really flat, right? Because they're wilted. And then they shake them and turn them around, and then they start to get springy again. They start to come up and get springy again.
Kind of like come back to life.
It's like a way to get the water come back to life, yeah. And then that's like trying to get the water to move through the veins of the leaf, through the cells of the leaf, through the veins of the leaf, and then move outwards towards the outside of the leaf, and then evaporate off, and then bring what they call qing wei, like a stinky green smell, and bring that out of the stem basically, and then remove that from the tea, and then at the same time develop a floral fragrance. So they do it a few times. Like this tea, they did it depending on when the leaves got to the factory. There's like different sets. They did it between 2 and 3 times. And then after that, when they feel like it's ready, they'll do the, I don't know, big shake. What do you call it? Big
大浪.
Big flip. Yeah.
Yeah, 大浪. Big wave.
Big wave. And then when they do
Big
that,
shaking.
the big shake, yeah.
Yeah.
They put it in like a big bamboo tube, and then they turn it around slowly, like actually pretty slowly. And then the leaves will just keep rolling around inside of the tube. And at that point, they'll really start to ferment, right? Because you're really stimulating the water on the inside to move, because they're still alive, right? So you're stimulating the water on the inside to really move outward. And then after that, they put it in to kind of like rest. So then all the stinky water that was instigated during that big shake can slowly evaporate off in the resting period.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then if you smell, it's really interesting. If you smell like right after it got out of the big shake, it actually smells really, really green. Like like if you break open a banana peel is probably a good way to say it, or like an underripe mango. That kind of really green, like kind of, or like a underripe pineapple. That kind of like really stimulating, a little bit abrasive kind of aroma. And they always say, like, I think it's fun. I'm like, oh, this smells is really strong. He's like, no. It doesn't smell strong. It's 不是香. It's that doesn't smell. But that's not aroma. That's not aroma. That's green. That's green. It's not aroma. That's green. So they separate it. You know, there's a green qing, and then there's the aroma 香, and they're two different things. They're not even like this aroma's green. It's like that's not aroma. That's actually green. That's different than aroma. So the green will slowly start to evaporate off in the period of resting, and then if you know, because it's in batches, right? So after they finish the last batch, you can go out and smell the last batch. Is what I did. I smelled the last batch. They just came out and really smell that kind of like banana peel, that green abrasive smell, and then go over and smell the one that's been sitting there for a while, and it's really sweet. It starts to smell sweet.
Oh.
And floral and a little bit fruity, but in a less abrasive way, right? It's almost like that green is not even a smell; it's more of a feeling. And it's the feeling of like if you break open a weed, if you're gardening and then you break open a weed and then you smell that white sappy stuff. It's like that. It's like more of a feeling than an actual aroma. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then basically after that, it's done. Like after the resting period, it's rested enough. Then they kill green. Basically, they cook the tea, and then you just have to get it to the point where the tea leaves themselves are cooked through, and get rid of a certain amount of moisture, and then it stops the fermentation from happening. Like there's no. It's like then the tea is set, and then it's just at that point it's just drying it and shaping it and drying it and shaping it and drying it and shaping it for another 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like it's still a lot of work, but it's not changing anymore. I mean, it's still the taste is changing, but the leaf is not actively fermenting anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically the process.
Quite amazing, right?
It's amazing.
To watch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely amazing. And then just like to see how detailed everybody is. You know? And like how careful they are and how hard they work at the same time, and how attentive they are to the tea, you know, always coming back to it constantly. Like there's never a moment when they're not like picking up the tea leaves and smelling them and picking up the tea leaves and smelling them. Everyone's constantly picking up the tea leaves. At least the kind of like the masters who are in charge of the whole process, they're always picking up the tea leaves and smelling it and seeing where it's at, and then seeing like, okay, we're gonna come back here. It's probably gonna be about an hour, but let me come back in like 10 minutes, 20 minutes and smell it again, and at that point maybe we can shake it again to kind of get the leaves to come back to life, and then keep moving, because you just got to keep the water moving through, or else it'll get stuck.
Yeah. I know. I often say to people, like if people get a chance to watch tea processing, they will, even if you don't really quite understand what's happening, they will still, I think the work will convey through, and then they will have a, deeper connection and deeper respect of the tea and the tea, the some of the tea makers. Yeah. I mean, they have to go back, and as you said, they have to stay on the top of things, because one small area, if they didn't do it correctly, it impact the end result. It impact the next process.
Yeah.
So every process have to be right.
Yeah. It's think about it like think about it like a whole living thing, not like individual steps, right?
Yeah. Because even the outdoor, the picking and then the outdoor, everything activates and then continue to activate and then continue to go through. And so one process is not as right, then boom, the tea is maybe good, but not as right.
Yeah. I asked the guy, because I always thought that with to get a tea more oxidized, you basically just like there's a step that you just make it happen longer. Yeah. Like you just let it sit for longer or something like that. He's like, no, that's actually not true at all. Right? He's like from the very beginning. It's just he's like no, it's just fermented more. I'm like, oh, okay, that means it's like just fermented for longer. He's like, no, it's fermented more from the very beginning. It's fermented
outdoor,
more,
right?
starting with the sun. You have to get deeper into the leaf with the sun if you want to ferment it more towards the end, or else if you don't get deeper in the leaf, there's nowhere for it to go at the end, right? So once you hit it with a certain amount of sun, it's already decided how far you can take it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, as soon as you pick off a leaf, it's already decided how far you can take it in a certain way. Like with these tender leaves, like it affects the entire process. But what he was saying for more heavily fermented teas, with the sun at the very beginning, that's like the beginning of fermentation. That's how you decide like how many times you can flip it, you know, how big you can go on the big flip, and how long you can let it rest.
I like that the big flip.
So, yeah. So, you know, we always talk about Mr. John is really in tune with the tea when he's roasting it and roasts with the fire and the tea talk to each other, right? Like let them do their thing together and follow the quality of the tea to determine how far the roast can go. And that's he's really profound and really good at it. But everyone's doing that if you want to make good tea, you know? Like the whole processing is like everyone's watching the leaf really, really closely, you know? And everyone's, you know, watching what's happening after depending on how far you pushed it in the beginning, how far you're going to need to push it in the end, you know? Or how careful you're going to have to be with it, depending, you know?
Yeah. I totally can imagine that.
So it was pretty inspiring to me to see, you know, how closely everyone's working with this plant.
Yeah. And you say even just like that time, you know, you just actually follow one process for 2 days. And I think it was really interesting. One time I was talking to you and you say after that you taste tea differently.
Yeah. It's like it changed my perspective
really
on
something.
tasting tea. Yeah, because as you watch it fermenting over time, different things will show up. And it's almost like I took a leaf off of the plant and just ate it to try it. And it's so strongly bitter. But in the very, very deeply inside of the bitter taste, which is really strong, and the astringent taste, which is really strong in the raw leaf, in the very, very deep inside, there's like this heart of just like all the goodness that's in the tea, which I imagine, use my imagination, that's what they're coaxing out during the processing. That's what they're calling more and more out, and then getting rid of the stinky and the astringent smells and the tastes, right? So then after tasting it and then watching it slowly change over time, you know, you can really start to understand in a finished tea, you can kind of see the entire history of the tea, like what happened during the separate steps. And I've only seen it one time, so it's like really really basic understanding of what happened during the certain steps, but I can still start to see it, you know. And when I'm tasting tea now, I'm tasting it in a different way. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
And more clear, you know, more clear on everything that's happened in from start to finish.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, and I understand that you also like maybe took some videos.
Yeah, I took lots of videos. So I'm planning on making a little YouTube compilation eventually once I have some time.
Yeah.
I don't have time right now. I like last night, or the night before last night, it was Friday. Yeah, I was up until, I was out tasting tea at a friend's shop until like 10 p.m., you know.
I know. It's just like right now you guys have to set up the website and the shipping process. So I understand that's a lot of work. I think some people are really having so much fun looking at the photos and the short videos that you loaded on Instagram and Facebook. It's like a way for people, even though very briefly, it's a way for people to experience that in a way part of your journey and the place and the people. You know, yeah. So
Yeah, I wish I could have. It's hard to do an interview for me, just with a camera by myself.
Yeah.
Because then you're like pointing the camera at someone and then you're asking them questions and then so it's just I wish I could have interviewed people more. That's my regret, is that I didn't have a chance to interview people, but I got a lot of good video and I asked a lot of questions. So I'm planning on putting together something and then maybe doing a little bit of narrative so people know what's going on.
Yeah.
But there's
interviewing, maybe in the future we can bring cousin Jake.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. And ask questions.
He can do the filming and you can focus on.
That would be perfect.
You can on asking whatever question you want to ask, because sometimes it's too much is happening, and then to have a camera, it's just like, oh my goodness.
It already feels like it's too much just me asking them questions while they're working, right? So it's like add a camera into it and interview them, and just like it's way too much.
Yeah.
But there's so much combined experience in that factory, you know, just like so much. Like 3 of the guys that were there were like, you know, call them shifu, like tea making masters. Like they all have their own specialty in the tea making process. So they've been doing it since they were, you know, kids, and then all the people, even the people that are just like I said, the people that were just working there have so much experience. Like at one point the master was like getting ready to take out the tea out of the big flip. And then one of the workers smelled it and he's like, oh, are you sure it's ready? And the master's like, okay, maybe I'll go a little bit longer. So like everyone is smelling it and everyone's paying attention to it, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful.
And everyone, you know, knows in their own way, knows what's going on.
Cool.
But yeah, this tea's great.
I am so looking forward to tasting it.
I'm looking forward to you trying it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do want to taste Taiwanese produce just a little bit more oxidized style of high mountain oolong.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only time I tasted it is actually from Yunnan. You remember the Yunnan Taiwan?
Yeah.
Some of the furry crab. I would say it feels like more oxidized kind of a high mountain oolong.
Yeah.
But that's from Yunnan. I'm really curious with Taiwan production.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. It's not as oxidized as the furry crab. The furry crab is more oxidized. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more like it's about as oxidized as traditional dongding, I would say.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you look at the leaf, it's like green with a red around the outside of the leaf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Still though, I want to
awesome.
taste it.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, like this is the exact same kind of production and probably the same people. You know, a lot of the workers are probably the same, and the masters go around to different farms and lend their expertise, as a lot of the other high mountain oolongs that we're buying, at least on Shanlin-Shi especially. So it's like the same, basically, you know, it's from different locations, sure. So the terroir is different, but it's basically the same style of making tea, just you add in that guy from Dongding and you get a very different, you know, approach to the oxidation. Yeah. But same leaf, you know, same a lot of the same people. Same kind of machines, you know, everything. Yeah. So it's very cool.
He determined the flavor profile.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really
Depends
clean.
on who finish it. Yeah.
It's really clean.
Cool.
His attention to detail is great. So it, like the broth feels very pure, you know, and there's a viscosity to it, you know. It's really nice. It's really nice.
I heard that you might be meeting him again.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm hoping to. He told me he would teach me how to roast tea, so I'm gonna go try to find him in Dongding and roast tea with him.
That is great. Yeah.
Actually, I got really close to that guy because he was I don't know, we just got along really well. So I kept asking him questions. He kept telling me stuff, and we had a good time.
And they are so generous, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
it's with their time, their knowledge, their willingness to share it. I know. I mean, I don't need to tell you. You were there to experience that. But every time when I go there, and then just like how people just in a way open their hearts so easily.
Yeah.
You know, they just open their hearts. They tell you stuff, and they are very close to other people.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so generous that there was another master there who's also been making tea for a long time, and he's saying, yeah, all this stuff that Mr. Lai is teaching you. If he was to teach a class, it would be tens of thousands of Taiwanese dollars. It'd be very expensive. Not everyone gets to learn like this. You're lucky. You know how lucky you are? You're so lucky. He knows so much. If you take a class with him, it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
I believe that, and I think it's not tens of thousands of Taiwanese dollars. It's priceless.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, the experience.
That's basically what he was saying. He just kept saying that, and I thought it was really funny.
That's excellent. And today the podcast is it feels like more like I'm interviewing you.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you feel frightened?
No, it's good. I like this style.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can do something like this.
Sorry. Normally in the past, it's just we're drinking the same tea and I just keep talking.
Yeah. Maybe we can do something like this for the time that I'm in Taiwan, because I'll keep going out and looking for more information and learning stuff. So I can just kind of you just ask questions, I'll tell you what I'm learning,
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in a way as I said to you privately before, to see your photos, your experiences there, they bring up a very bittersweet feeling to me, because I'm so happy and excited to see those things, to see you are having a great time and to learn. And then the bitter part is like it's really hard not to be there. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like, well, I do have a pretty good capacity of using my imagination. So sometimes I am going to do quotation mark on the word. I bring myself out there. Like when I see the photo of the tea field, then I bring myself out there and I can feel that I put my hands on the tea leaves, the tea bushes. Then it helped me to also be on the journey. And when you describe your experience of the tea processing, I watch those from time to time, and I can bring myself out there to even smell those smells.
Yeah, the smell of the tea factory is so unique.
Yeah. The smells, and sometimes the past conversations, like people will tell me when I participate, and then they teach me like how to do the shade green, what I did wrong, too light, too heavy, and that kind of stuff. And all the experiences will come back to me, because, when I feel in a way bittersweet, that I always remember when Mr. Red Pine sent me that book, that poetry book, and in the front, he just said, "Shouwen, who say you can travel." And so even during the quarantine time, it's really hard for me to get to, especially a foreign country. But I always keep that sentence in mind: "Who say I can be there?" So I brought myself out there.
Yeah,
Noah,
I know.
Do you feel sometimes I was there next to you? I said, "Hey."
Yeah, I do.
Really? Cool. Excellent podcast, even though we were arguing a little bit before.
Yeah.
You probably have to edit all of those.
Yeah, I'll edit it a little bit. Because when we argue in Chinese and English combined, so It also doesn't sound very good.
Short temper. Not you, me. Short temper.
I know.
Cool. So before we go, you want to say anything else? Oh yeah, we do have to say something. A big announcement.
Oh, that the shop is opening.
Not the shop. Yeah, sure, but the
online shop shipping from Taiwan.
The online shop. You will be still floatingleaves.com. And all the teas that's listed on there, there will be a lot of new stuff and like new teapots, teaware, and new teas, and all the stuff will be shipping out of Taiwan. While in the U.S. side, the Seattle side, there will be a floatingleaves.us. And then that site will carry some, our typical Chinese green teas that we have been carrying, and Japanese green teas and some black teas that we have in the shop. So just stay tuned for that. I am trying to work out a small schedule to maybe start to open up to do tea tastings with people. And I'm trying to figure out how to nail the schedule with me taking care of my son also. So 2 double schedules is on my hands, and I am hoping to give people some news on May 15th. Meanwhile, the most exciting news will be in the Taiwan site, floatingleaf.com. It's gonna be open on May 4th. And please continue to support us. There will be a lot of good stuff out of that site. Exciting, good stuff.
Pretty much 100% new stuff as soon as we open up the shop.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think only like Dongting traditional A will be the same like the Seattle one,
batch,
and the rest of until Noah has time to go up to Dongting Mountain.
Yeah, I brought a little bit of Dongting A, not very much even. I brought a little more than 5 pounds just to tide me over until I have time to go up to Dongting. Because Dongting, we have to go up there to choose it. We can't, we can't find farmers and roasters in the city because no one else carries that guy's tea. No one carries that guy's tea down here because no one. I'm not gonna say it. He's great. He's great. You gotta work with him directly, and he's a little bit.
True. But all the teas will be like brand new, and also keep going back. Because May 4th will only have probably roughly about 10 teas, and some of the high mountain teas is still not being harvested. And just keep going back. May 6th, go back. There might be a new tea up there again. Maybe in the middle of June, your Baozhong tea will be the next batch, because Noah and Sunny went up to buy Baozhong, and it's very small quantity. Like he asked for X amount of quantity, they said they don't have it. So he buy whatever.
And that's not to say that they harvested a small quantity. They actually had a good harvest this year. I don't know what it is. It's just like the particular batches that I was asking for, they didn't have very much for me to buy. Maybe everyone else had already bought some of it or something. I don't know. Or maybe they still haven't had time to fix it, take out the stems and stuff and pick it through. But whatever it is. But
Taiwanese tea does move so fast, right? But even the one that you,
fragrant tea
even the
really
one
fast.
That you pick, the one that you are drinking right now, the one that you participated in, they harvest the X amount of quantity, and the moment you show up to buy it, you only can buy one bag.
Yeah, let me explain. So I came down from the mountain with our friend, and it was in the back of his car. And he dropped me off at like 10:30 p.m. that night in Taipei. I went back home to Sunny's house, stayed there, rested the next day because we got like no sleep up on the mountain. And then so there was like one day in between. We got home at like 10:30 p.m. one day, and then the very next day I went to go find that tea and buy some from him, and and it was I was able to get some, and then after that it was all gone. I bought the last of it.
Yeah, it's it's crazy sometimes like how fast tea is moving in Taiwan. And I
Yeah.
think I know some of you guys might not be used to we moving our shipping situation back in Taiwan, but it kind of enable us to be there hopefully more often, not just to to do anything, just to learn like this and to like keep going out to find teas.
Yeah, if you choose teas remotely, you're really limited. Like someone will send us the samples of their teas, and we'll try them, and we'll turn around and go to buy them, and then they're gone. Or they only have a really small
like,
quantity.
Sorry, the farmer just sold it. Like it happened quite a number of times.
Yesterday. It happened yesterday. I was like, hey, did you ever talk to that farmer for me about that baozhong? He's like, oh yeah, I asked him and it's all gone now. So I have another, he made another batch. You can try this one. So give it a try. And then if you like it, and I'm like, yeah, buy it. Like, please talk to him very quickly for me.
Yeah, and so it's like it's just great to be there in a longer period of time. It's just you can go out and constantly search for teas. Yeah. That part is also really exciting to keep finding like good stuff for tea drinkers. Yeah. So anyway, May 4th, please check out floatingleaftea.com.
On one hand, it's like finding.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Just say it on one hand.
Okay. On one hand, it's like you're finding new stuff, right? All the time you're finding new stuff, so it's like always feels really new. On the other hand, you're able to find better stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're able to choose like stuff that would normally be totally sold out and not available to us if we were in the States or only here for like a week. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. But please check out floatingleaf.com starting on May 4th and give us some support. So we feel, to be honest with you, we feel okay about it. I am a little bit anxious on the I have faith, and at the same time I have anxiety with what's happening right now, like what is gonna happen. So please, please, how do I say it? After May 4th, then I don't need to take anxiety medicine. How about that? Let me go medicine. I'm not taking anything right now, but just like don't let me have that choice to take anxiety medicine. How about that? Yeah. Well, it might be a bad thing to end. Super wonderful and excited to really see and experience what you are learning, and your experiences with those wonderful people out there. It's incredible. And then just give us some time to have the visual effect out, the videos that Noah later can have some time to put together to show you guys what he experienced up in the mountain with those wonderful
once I have some
tea
time,
makers.
I'll put it together. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So, excellent. We'll see you on Monday. Happy tea drinking, everybody. Stay safe and stay happy out there.
Cool. Next time we record a podcast, we'll be shipping tea out of Taiwan.
Yes.
Officially.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Please support. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
we'll
you.
see you. Yeah. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.